If Jussie Smollett doesn't spend at least a few hours inside a jail cell for lying to the world, has justice been served? It's a question we like to ask George Papadopoulos, Newsmax contributor and a former Trump campaign foreign policy advisor. George, great to see you.
Thanks a lot for having me, John.
You know, when you went to jail, everyone said, oh, he's got to go to jail. I mean, he lied to the FBI. But I guess all lies aren't the same, are they?
Well, look, in my situation, I think it was completely different than what happened to Jussie Smollett, and also with Rick Gates, Mike Flynn, Roger Stone, the President of the United States himself, and over 70 million Americans who I think were the ultimate victims of probably the biggest political conspiracy in modern American history. And that was, of course, the legal spying of the Comey FBI, and then how that metastasized into the Mueller witch hunt, if you want to call it that. I'll just give an example. I mean, the lawyer who was the head of not only my so-called case, but also Michael Flynn's case and Carter Page's and some of the others, he ended up being indicted by special counsel John Durham for falsifying documents. So we have no idea actually yet how far up the rod actually went regarding this egregious malfeasance that resulted in some tremendous injustice, not only against myself, but some of the others that you just mentioned. And I would just say regarding the Jussie Smollett case, I think we could all breathe a collective sigh of relief that his attacker was actually convicted. And in this bizarre situation that we found ourselves in my hometown of Chicago, we had Jussie Smollett basically falsify to the police that he was not only the victim of a hoax, but also he was the ringleader of it. So I think justice was definitely served, and this should send a message to anybody else who's attempting to continue to divide this country.
You were talking about Kevin Kleinsmith, right? The FBI lawyer that falsified the FISA warrant documents. And I just want to point out that he too also just got probation. It seems like kind of a big deal to just get probation as well. And again, I don't know if anybody in these cases, yours or Rick Gates's or even Jussie Smollett, they should be spending time in jail if that's really the best way to solve these problems here. But what we do care about is equal application of the law. Correct, George?
That's absolutely right, John. And you know, in this country, Lady Justice is often depicted as wearing a blindfold or being blind. And what that blindfold is supposed to represent is the fair and equal application of the law without regard to either political affiliation or wealth. And that's exactly how the rule of law has supposed to actually function in this entire country. And this is what separates our republic and our democracy from banana republics out there who utilize and weaponize the justice system or the DOJ for political means, like we have seen over the last 4 years, and we're continuing to see it. So I was actually very, I think as a country, we're very fortunate to see over the last series of these very high-profile trials regarding Rittenhouse and, of course, Ahmaud Arbery's case, and now Smollett's case, that the jury was unintimidated and presented a resolute and unequivocal verdict, which I believe were the correct verdicts in all three cases, without basically kowtowing to tremendous pressure from the outside. And we have seen that pressure coming from the likes of Nancy Pelosi, President Obama, the left and the mainstream media, which essentially deemed many of these victims, if you will, guilty without giving them due process. And while allowing Jussie Smollett to be paraded around as some sort of victim of a racist white nationalist attack in the middle of the Chicago winter, which, of course, if anybody is from Chicago, you could understand that you're not going to see a lot of MAGA hats out there. I am, and you're not going to see a lot of MAGA hats out there, and especially in the below-zero winter. So I think justice was served here, and we really need to be fortunate that the juries here were strong-willed and did the right thing.
Now, when you mentioned the Ahmaud Arbery case, it makes me think about that Martin Luther King Jr. quote, the arc of history is long, but it bends towards justice. George Papadopoulos, great to see you. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, John. You too.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.